So I'm all loaded up. I've got my duty pistol or concealed carry pistol. I'm out there just ready to fight crime or go hit the streets or go do what I'm ever doing out there with my pistol on. Always a good idea to make sure that your pistol is loaded. So let's go through a process called the status check with the pistol. So this is basically a series of steps to make sure that my handgun, my pistol, is in perfect working condition, at least it's loaded, and any accessory I have is on and ready to rock. So in order to do this, I'm gonna need a safe environment, or at least be safe while I do it at a minimum. When would you do a status check? Well, it's gonna depend on your lifestyle and your situation. Personally, before I load up as a police officer, when I put on my duty gear, I put my gun in the holster. Before it actually goes in the holster for a duty shift, I'm going to go ahead and check it. Another instance I may check it is whether I'm on duty or off duty and I'm responding to something and my gun's out. If I do have time, I'll do a check. For instance, before I make entry into a building or a house, something like that, I'll do a check, make sure it's loaded and ready to go. Maybe in the case of on duty as a police officer, I'm about ready to do a felony vehicle stop. If I have time, I'll go ahead and do that check in my vehicle, pointed down at the ground in between my feet in a safe direction. So how about you out there, concealed carry? You come home at the end of a long work day, you're walking up to a house, you're checking your mail, you're checking your phone, you're just, looking forward to getting in there, making yourself some dinner. You walk up to your door, you see that the threshold of your door has been cracked open, it's been broken into. So you're doing the right thing, right? You're calling 911, calling the police, and maybe you're a little overambitious and you decide to check your house. Well, before you go in there, not a bad idea to check the condition of your gun. Home invasion type of scenario. If you have time, you hear a bump in the middle of the night, maybe you grab your gun and you just do a little check, make sure everything's ready to rock if need be. So those are some examples where you may do a status check. Now let's walk through that actual process. So what are the steps to the status check procedure? Well, let's go through them. And I'm going to do these in order of precedence. Now, each gun is going to vary a little bit depending on whether you got a striker fire gun, a hammer fire gun, maybe a single action only gun or a double single. Your gun is going to be a little bit different, so you're going to have to get a process down that works for you. So here we go. In order of precedence, the first thing we're going to check is the chamber. That's the most important thing. Am I even loaded? Do I have a round in the chamber? So to do a status check in the chamber, also called a press check, what I'm going to have to do is manipulate the slide just enough to see the round. It's very important to keep the finger off the trigger and the muzzle in a safe direction while I'm doing this. If we're at home, maybe find a corner of your house where you got some good wood behind there, or maybe a cinder block wall, or in a vehicle, maybe down at the floorboards between your feet. So you need a safe place to do this if you're going to do that. At least nobody in front of your muzzle, to include yourself. That's very important. So first thing I'll check is my chamber. One option, just bring the gun in nice and tight, get a good grip on the back of your slide, and I can simply just pull my slide back slightly enough until I see brass in there. Now, some guns actually have loaded chamber indicators, or LCIs, a little dimple that sticks up or a hole that's literally in your barrel and you can see the round. Even on this pistol right here, I can actually see a sliver of brass in there, but I don't know about you, but I really like that sense of knowing for sure there's something in there. So pulling back and doing an actual press check works for me. So that's one technique, gripping it right back here, pulling it back slightly and seeing what you need to see. If it's a low light condition, what I could do is the same process and go ahead and put my finger in there and feel that I have a piece of brass in there, and then let the slide go. It's important to let the slide go, and I'll always give it a tap on the back of the slide to make sure it is locked into battery so you don't have it out of battery. So that's one technique. Another technique is you can come up underneath the gun and grab the front of the gun. So actually follow my hand up, grab the front of the gun, bring it in nice and tight. Guys, the reason I'm bringing it in right here is I have leverage and I'm not going to overextend the slide. So I'll grip the front of the slide, on the sides of it, and just simply pull it back slightly till I see my brass. Low light, I could always stick a finger in there if need be. That's a technique. Another technique is I could hook the back of the grip under the back strap area here, or the beaver tail area here, and also get a hook on my rear sight. That way all I'm going to do is a pinch pull method. So I'm going to put my thumb there, finger here, and just pinch the two together, and that will expose the round as well. Bottom line, we're checking the chamber. Whatever way works for you is going to be right as long as it's safe. Finger off the trigger, muzzle in a safe direction, and you're not putting anything in front of that muzzle. It is very important. After I've checked the chamber, I'm going to check the other place ammunition is, and that's going to be the magazine. I'll go ahead, eject my magazine, and take a look at it. If I do have loaded chamber indicator holes on the side of my magazine, I'll make sure that the maximum capacity is in fact loaded up, and in a low light situation, I could always push down on the top, and if I can get more than about a fingernail in there, I know that I could put more rounds in the magazine, so maybe I swap out the mag. Bottom line, make sure your mag is completely loaded. At that point, I'm going to go ahead and insert my magazine, and very important, give it a tug to make sure it's in there. That is especially important, and from what I've seen, a lot of people never check that and they fail to tug on the magazine, and then they're out of luck. So again, check the magazine, take it out, check it, indicator holes, or push down on it, insert, then give it a little tug to make sure it's in there. So at that point, I know my gun's loaded. Now I'm going to check any accessories I might have. If I have maybe a red dot on top of my pistol, I'll make sure it's on and activated into the intensity level that I want. In this case, I have a little light on my pistol, so I'm going to want to check that. I can simply activate my light and see that it's working. In a low light condition, I'll actually cover up the front of the light. You need to be very careful if you're going to do that, because the front of the light is very close to the front of the muzzle. So in this case, I'll follow the gun up, just go in front of the light, but not in front of the muzzle. I'll activate my light, I see that it's working, and I'm good to go. So that's the status check. One more time all together, I'll check my chamber, check my magazine, insert, tug, and at that point, check any accessories that I may have. Now the pistol's ready for action. Here's another variation of a status check with a hammer-fired pistol. So this is a double single pistol. It's carried with a hammer down or in the decock position. So the way I'm going to do this is the same. It's just going to require a couple different processes, possibly with the hammer. What I find with a hammer that is cockable, it's easiest to cock the hammer before you check the chamber, because if you don't, as you try to manipulate the slide, you're fighting the hammer going back. So in that case, it's especially important to keep your finger off the trigger, muzzle in a safe direction while I do this. So I'm going to take my pistol, cock the hammer back, and I can simply go through the same process, pulling back slightly. I can come up underneath and pull back slightly. I can use my thumb and finger to check, and I can also utilize that technique while checking the chamber with the trigger finger of my dominant hand if need be. After I've checked the chamber, what I'm going to do is I'm going to decock the pistol, utilizing the decocking lever to make sure the hammer is lowered safely, obviously without firing the pistol. At that point, same process. Take my magazine out, yep, it's loaded to capacity, insert it, give it a tug. Especially important, I've got a light on this gun, so I can go ahead and activate that or do it safely if I need to maintain light discipline. Now in this case, my pistol is all ready to go, ready for action, ready for duty.